And at this stage, I would like to invite Eleanor Lambert, one of our own in Dominica, in Food and Nutrition Security, Food and Nutrition Council, everything to do with nutrition. I'm sure you all know from Dominica, you all know Mrs. Lambert very well. For those of you who don't know Mrs. Lambert, she will tell you who she is, but she's been around the food and nutrition circle for a very long time. And you can see because she's still very healthy, young looking, and vibrant. I'm turning over to Mrs. Lambert to tell us why this topic is important, why we should all understand what it means to all of us individually and as a country, and why we should not stop talking about it, and probably who we need to send messages to and how. Mrs. Lambert.
Okay, good morning to everybody and welcome. I am very happy to see you all. But going back to our topic, why should we have food and nutrition policy? When I started here about 38 years ago in Dominica, having been trained in the UK, I realized that I had to get Dominicanized because, of course, the UK is a different food and everything. But it takes a lot of commitment, and I think if we here can go out of this room with commitment, I think we would have sold everything, because the years I've spent here have been very, very tough, trying to get people motivated. And I remember in the early 70s, we had malnutrition until I'm in the hospital at a special ward just for undernutrition, malnutrition children. And we were able to turn the table around by the policies that we put in place. Now, I remember our late Prime Minister, one of our deceased Prime Minister, Mary Eugenia Charles, actually went to Rome in '92 when we had this International Conference on Nutrition. And the drive was there for us to really move forward. In fact, I was on my honeymoon bed when they asked me to come and join the forces to have this council, and then from the council to do this policy. And we had committed people like Mr. Bully, Baliram, you probably know Bully, Curtis McIntosh. I wish he was here, because these were the ones that really helped us to put a policy together. It's not easy to put a policy together, because a policy is not like a shopping list that you just go in to do things. A policy is something that is real, that you identify the problems. At that time, we had about 9% of underweight children, 9% overall in undernutrition at that time, in '74. So we rallied around and we got together this policy. That's our first job of the Food and Nutrition Council, was to get a policy together so that government would know, civil society would know, everybody would know. And I must say, at the time, we had a very strong relationship with the agricultural sector here in Dominica. Today, it's falling behind, and I feel very, very encouraged today to see that something is coming up, because before I'd certainly like to see something of all the work that we did all those years. Mind you, the policy focused on undernutrition, and we did manage to wipe out, not everything, but right now we only have about maybe 0% of not even the severely undernourished in pockets in Dominica. So that was a victory for us. That we went the policy way, and we went, all of us were committed, we went to meetings, we looked at the situation. A policy has to identify the problem, and the problem cannot be identified by standing in one place. As a matter of fact, I am from Portsmouth, which is in the north, and every weekend I go down, I stay down. I tell my husband, give me that one night off, and I go to the market, I see what's going on. I go by the bayside where the fish comes out jumping from the boats, and that's where I am. So I can see what is going on. I can see people who come with produce, what they sell, how much they sell, and what is needed to push forward. And it takes you speak to people and you see something. We cannot just sit and make policy in a room. We have to look around and involve people. People matter. Because it's not just a certain strata of people. We're talking about some single mothers. Yes, give them this, best nutrition. But who are you talking to? You're talking to a single parent that the culture has changed now, that people, parents, women are out at work. I myself, I have 6 children. And it has been tough because the way our culture has been, and I don't know if it's Grenada or in Trinidad, you all are the same, but I always had my mother around, you know, waiting. When I came at lunchtime, there was always food. But today, women have to go out to work. So children now are out there eating all sorts of things. So the policy has to address that. It has to address the fact that people are out there, the restaurants are out there, having this, you know, high-fat stuff, high-salt stuff, and you have no choice because my mother has to go to work. Again, and the students from the college will hear me out. We are in the age of television, we're in the age of technological age. And whilst you're speaking to a child, she has her cell in her ears, she has her texting device. When I was at school, we just had a slate and a pencil. Today, we have to reach out to children in a different fashion. When we have catechism class at church, I always say, we're talking to children, but they're not listening because they are way out there. It's a different age and we have to move with the times. So any education system has to address that, right? So we did go through that first policy, and what we achieved was that first of all we established a nutrition unit. So the government bought over what we had to see. So we convinced the government that we needed a central nutrition unit that would actually identify those programs that needed to be done and follow up those programs. So we did succeed in doing that. So that nutrition unit was manned by nutritionists and other levels of staff, including like a central secretariat, so that anything we discussed would be passed on and it would be implemented. And we did things like, we did a school feeding program, and I know there's somebody here talking about school feeding program, but ours was a novel one for the entire region. Because guess what? We got the parents to come in to cook. We organized them in different groups, and we only bought for the children local food. So that means the agricultural sector was involved. In the schools, we had school gardens. We taught nutrition in those same schools. It was a pilot program, but I think we should continue on that line. We cannot continue to just keep on importing foods, especially foods that we have and our foods that are more superior. It doesn't make sense. And I myself, as a mother, can tell you it is not easy. Because I remember giving my daughter banana porridge one morning because I had no money to buy cornflakes. Because their father would sort of give them cornflakes, you know, just as a sort of an extra bonus. But I encouraged none of those things. And when I gave her the banana porridge, 3 of them put their noses up for me. I ignored them. I said, well, you go to school hungry, but I will not give you anything else. Eventually, they all ate the porridge. Sooner or later, when one went to study in England, she became a Rasta. So she came back to me and asking me for banana porridge. I said, well, there you are. But you know, children today would laugh when you say banana porridge. Ugh, you know. But it's good, you know, that is how we try to. And they started, you know, when I made a broth, they would like dumplings. I cut out the dumplings. So they would grumble, no dumplings today? Well, they said it twice, they said it 3 times. I am the cook, so there's no dumpling today. Right? And up to today, you still see potato chips instead of breadfruit. I'm sure you all had breadfruit in your restaurant. Have they given you breadfruit? Yeah. Well, they need to give you breadfruit. Dominica is just full of breadfruit at the moment. And I don't see why we haven't got these things packaged instead of having the white potatoes. As a matter of fact, Dominica has a lot of sweet potato right now, and the nutritionist will tell you that sweet potato is even better than the white potato. Yes. So we really, you know, we did a lot of education in that. The policy identified education as a main thing, so we had a radio program. Breastfeeding, I would even bring my children and breastfeed them in front of groups. I mean, I don't expect everybody to do that, but I'm a brave person. But all of them, I have two doctors right now, 2 lawyers, and another, masters. So the breast milk was good. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Then the patois dialect is very, very common here. So you go to the market and you say bonjour. Everybody's laughing. You say good morning. It's not the same. It is not the same. So we got ourselves now doing patois programs, Creole programs. So we get to the people, those in the rural areas. And I must say, Baliram, we really need to focus on that processing, because you go to the market and really, when you see the foods there, and these people have to go home and feed their children, we cannot blame them if they go out to work, because they have no way to get these foods into money. And the food technologies of the region, and I tell my husband the same thing, you all must get on the move. Get on the move, because Dominica has food. Now, so we went through school feeding program. We got education for people all around, education in every sense of the word. And media man over there, our media people were with us. Today, our media is more involved in more political issues. Now, food is a political issue, but we need to educate people, so that, as you said, they can make their choices. We don't have to bombard them with political issues, when the real issues of food that can make a change, we don't explain to them. So we need really right now to start being more focused on bringing the message out. You know, that one having coconut milk, a tablespoon of coconut milk is actually 38 calories, while a tablespoon of margarine is 112 calories. Now, so we go on, we leave the coconut because they said coconut is cholesterol, and we use all those other things, and we just waste money. That money we need now to go back to send the children to school, okay? So we did the programs. I hope I'm not talking too long, but I have so many things to say. So we actually went through all these radio program, breastfeeding programs. We did school feeding. We linked with agriculture so that we could encourage nutrition in the schools. We also had special programs for women in the villages, you know, teaching them how to process things and so on. We had a lot of programs. That's what came out of our policy. So you see how important the policy is. Now, going back to then, what I can say is that we are revising our policy. Why? Because things have changed. So we have to move with the times. In that policy, part of the policy was to do research. And we got the last research that we did, we discovered that 27% of our people that they interviewed were not having vegetables and fruit at all on a daily basis. They were just eating basically rice and fish or whatever, and not having vegetables and fruit. Now that's very important, because we have high cancer rates, diabetes, hypertension. So that is one thing we found out from that thing, is that we need to encourage eating more fruits and vegetables. We in the council, together with CFNI, and I have to praise CFNI, FAO, all of these people are our friends. And from the very beginning, technical assistance is forthcoming from CFNI, and they try to help us to do this food consumption study, which identified that beans and local root crops were on the decline. So people were just leaving their root crops, which is high in potassium and high in fiber, and we are going for the baked and white flour products. That's what has happened to us. So then we are able now, from that policy, from the investigation, we're able to move into education. So this new policy has to address all those issues. And we're starting now, and I'm glad that this meeting is taking place, because we have got assistance from Baliram via CFNI to be able to know how to actually do our policy. Identify the problem, then we look at the ways of how we can monitor what things we put into place. Also, we have to put figures, we have to put a cost, And it's not just writing out a shopping list. We have to sit down and plan and move forward and then get it sold. And how is it sold? By inviting participation from every single corner of Dominica. The farmers, the ordinary housewife, let us know what they're thinking. It doesn't make sense writing a policy which does not, have that friendliness, and it cannot be implemented. So that is what we are about now. We're going to have our consultation after this so that we can make sure that the policy is intact. So this is, in essence, the importance of having a policy.
At this point in time, I would like to hear from the floor in terms of, we're not having a discussion right now, but just from a few people, give us your thoughts, your feedback on why you think you're here, and what being here will do for you, or what you expect being here will contribute to your own information, enlightenment, etc. And while we do that, we will set up for the CARICOM Secretariat, who is going to give us a more detailed discussion on the actual regional policy for food and nutrition security. Anybody want to volunteer to open the floor?
Coordinator of the National Fair Trade for Dominica, and also a board member of the Greenwell Island Farmers Association. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's a good thing to be here this morning. I feel very comfortable to be in a setting like this, to know that we are talking about food, we are talking about the security of food, and not just the security of food, but nutritious food. I want to first of all say to Mrs. Lambert that the work have gone, and maybe have gone so far that we have moved on the other side of the balance. Whereas we had malnutrition in the 70s, there is another type of malnutrition, and that is obesity. This is eating the wrong kind of food. While we did not have enough before, now it looks like we become so televisionized, we become so, what I do not even have any word to express it, but we have moved to do things that are now detrimental to us, the people, in consumption of food. I am particularly happy that we are here today because I remember sometimes in Trinidad and Tobago, the policy people sat down to look at something they call food security. And it was hurting to hear what food security for our policy people in the region, without blaming any specific one, was about. It was about money to be able to buy enough food. That was done in Trinidad and Tobago. It was not how to prepare the people and prepare these tropical countries and tropical lands in how to provide and the ways to mitigate against the disasters that we have, that we could have enough food.
Okay, Mr. Wilshire, we appreciate all of that, and we're grateful that you bring it up, because a lot of the issues that you're speaking to, the CARICOM Secretariat will tell you that they are part of this regional policy that we have on the table. So let us listen to what they have to present, and then we can see whether or not most of your issues are covered as part of the regional policy. And if not, what is the mechanism for us to get it entrenched into the policy, whether it's too late or whether it's not too late, etc. So we can take that when we come to the discussion.
Thank you very much. And I'm very happy that I think you made space for the State College also, because somebody spoke of the school gardens, I think is Mrs. Lambert, and we would have to go back. We would have to go back to our education and to put again, in even the primary school, the backyard, what we used to call the school gardens, where we could teach the children agriculture is not fuck and spade and dirty clothes or punishment as it was, but to provide food, because in sometimes what we used to hear, if you do not do good at school, there's a cutlass waiting for you. And that was punishment. But now I would like us to shape this food security around this kind of education starting to the primary school. Thank you very much.